I'm Amanda Pittman, and this is the Confident Woman Podcast. This podcast was created to equip you to stand confidently upon the finished work of Jesus. In this community, we'll talk about what you care about most, living shamelessly for Jesus, speaking unapologetically for truth, and bringing heaven to earth. So make yourself comfortable. We're going to chop it up, keep it real, and change the world. Welcome back to the Confident Woman Podcast. I am here with my guest, none other than the Avrielle Muse.
Hey.
So if you don't know Ave, she is an influencer extraordinaire. She gets views, y'all. Like, she has a video that has like over 30 million views.
It's 28 million.
Okay. Round up. I mean, at that point, like, what's another 2 mil? Like, what's another 2 mil? Like, what? Some people will never see a million, and you've seen like almost 30 of them. So, she also is a YouTuber.
Yes.
And a model in the making, because we were talking about her future modeling career, because she's absolutely stunning.
So sweet.
Now, you are like, what, 5'1", 5'2"?
5'2".
So,
Very
I mean,
short.
it will have to be petite modeling.
Yes.
But us short girls are cute, too. We're cute, too.
Yeah, they be leaving us out.
I know.
It's rough.
Yeah, you do need to speak a little bit closer.
Oh,
yeah.
Get closer. Okay.
And she's pregnant. How many weeks are you now?
I am going to be 35 weeks tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. Our friend Jonna gave birth at 35 weeks. So I'm still processing that. Like, you're in the point, normally 38 weeks plus is like home stretch. But after what I saw with Jonna, I'm just like, it could happen at any moment.
Any moment.
Or you could go to 41 weeks, like some people go to 42 weeks.
Lord, please let that not be my portion.
I don't think it will be. Ave, you're going to go and get one of those prenatal massages.
Yes. Oh my gosh, definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. It's already in the works. So.
Yeah, because Jonna's baby Dawson practically fell out the womb after she had.
Prenatal massage.
Yes. So those things work. But my favorite thing about Avrielle is that she's my best friend.
Aww.
Which is
so
like a very selfish favorite thing. My
Amanda
favorite thing
gasses
about
me.
you is me.
Who would you be without me?
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
So funny, but low-key true.
Yes. I'm really excited about our conversation today. First of all, because we have this vibey setup.
I love this setup.
Yes, I love the setup too, because we usually do like, usually on my podcast, I do like the whole Zoom thing. I've never had a live, in-person guest on my podcast, so this will be great.
Yes.
I like that. It energy is good on Zoom, but like it's still different being in person.
It is different being in person. I just love the moodiness of this whole room.
Yeah, it's a mood, it's a vibe.
It's a mood.
Yes.
I love it. And I just love the comfy chairs. I really need that since I'm pregnant. So
comfy chairs, blanket. She's got a green smoothie.
Yes.
You may not see it, but it's there.
Yes.
So I'm really excited about our conversation today because we're talking about what it's like feeling underestimated, being the underdog, feeling overlooked.
Yes.
And it's something that we can both relate to.
Yes.
We've both felt that before. But I feel like she was the perfect person to talk about it because it's been a theme in our conversations. So Ave, talk to me about times in your life or situations in your life where you felt either like an underdog or you felt underestimated.
Well, I think it's mainly with my career. When it comes to my career, because it feels like that's been the hardest and longest journey for me to see it actually pick up. That has been where I've felt the most underestimated, I would say. And I also feel like because there's like a huge desire to see like it be something like fruitful and for it to like be what God said it would be and all of that stuff. So yeah, I would say I felt it so much with my career and my purpose, and mainly from me as well as others as well.
Okay, so let's explore that concept of being underestimated by others versus underestimating yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So how, like, what has been the ratio of like underestimating myself, others underestimating you? Like what, talk to me about that, and talk to me about like how the two affect you.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember last year you and I were having a conversation, and you were like, Ave, I was doing my reels and I was like posting, you did like a 30-day reels challenge, and you like saw so much growth from it. And you were telling me to do it. And I had so many apprehensions, and I was like, I don't know if that could work for me.
And let me pause, because for those of you, y'all aren't in our friendship, so y'all don't know what we've talked about. So when you hear Ave say she was telling me to do it, you may think, well, what if Ave's not called to that? Blah, blah, blah. Me and Ave had already discussed, like, God has called her to influencing like Instagram, YouTube. This is what God has designed her for. And so this was just me nudging her in the direction that she's always supposed to be. So I just had to add that disclaimer, because people may not know and assume that I'm just like pushing you to do something.
Right.
So go ahead.
That's true. That's good. Yeah. Good ad. Yeah. So you were like encouraging me and telling me to do it. And I was just like, I don't know. I was hesitating a lot, and I was just telling you all my limiting beliefs as to why I didn't think it would work for me. And I remember just saying, like, I've done this before. I've shown up or tried to show up consistently before, and like I couldn't show up consistently, or I wasn't like seeing the outcome that I wanted. I wasn't seeing the fruit that I wanted from it. So those were the two main things. And I just really heavily underestimated myself. I just didn't think I could do it. And then you pushed me, and you were like so encouraging, and you just said all the right things, as Amanda always does. She's so good at that. I mean, everybody needs an Amanda in their life, but yeah. And I did it, and I saw some really great growth. Like I went from 1,700 followers on Instagram, and then 2 months later to, I think I hit 10,000.
Bruh.
And I was just bewildered. Like I shocked myself. And I think that's when belief started to like come into my heart. And I actually started to believe, like, no, you can actually do things that you think that you can't do, if that makes sense. And so seeing the numbers and the outcome really helped, I would say, in that case. And that kind of just started to create a pattern where I was like, oh no, like I actually can do this. Like, even if you think you can't, you can.
Okay. So that is all you underestimating yourself.
Yeah.
Now about others.
Okay, so the others is annoying. If I'm going to be completely honest.
It really is.
The others is annoying because it's like, okay, first of all, I can underestimate myself, whatever, and I'll deal with that. But it's so annoying when other people underestimate you. Like, it's like, please, just go away.
Especially when you know you got it.
Yes.
And you know what you're capable of. You know what you can produce. You know you have all of the right things. So that has definitely happened in Avrielle's influencing career.
Yes.
I want you to talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so when I first started to see numbers and growth and all that, I was like, okay, let me start to reach out to brands. So somebody had reached out to me and said that they wanted to manage me and all that stuff. And then I started to feel really underestimated by this person that was basically asking to manage me. At first, it was like, oh my goodness, like you're killing it. Your numbers are great and all that stuff. And then, I don't know, it was like within a 2-week time span, I don't know what happened, but that just disappeared. It was like, and then I had brought like other people to go like, or like not brought, I would say like recommended, you know, this person. And I obviously, because these other people were friends with me, they were explaining to me like, oh yeah, like she pitched me this many times to a brand. And then when I would ask her, I felt like I was like chasing her to find out like, okay, like what's been happening, like just updates. And then when I would ask her, she would be like, yeah, like I pitched you 3 times or something like that. And it was just so upsetting, especially because I was just starting out and I really needed people around me that I felt like really believed in me and were really pushing me. and believed in me enough to do the work.
Yeah.
I think. And I think it was just so evident that they didn't feel like they could do the work for me or should do the work for me, because at that time I had like 13,000 followers, and then like some of the other people had more followers.
Yeah.
If that
it
makes
was only
sense.
13,000 at that point?
I think it was 13,000
Okay.
at that point from what I remember.
Yeah.
And other people had, and I understand, I think from a business perspective, it was probably like, well, I'm going to make more money with maybe somebody that has like 100,000 followers.
Mm-hmm.
And if a brand is going to work with you, they're going to pay you a little bit less because you only have 13,000 followers. So I understand the business aspect, but it wasn't just that. It was just everything surrounding that and the air around like our conversations. And
yeah. And Avrielle is kind of like censoring a little bit because the other person who was the friend was me.
I was totally censoring.
Yeah. And so I'm a ride or die. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to step on someone else to get to the top. Like I am loyal.
Yeah.
Loyal if you're a good person. Because
Yes.
I'm not loyal to bad people. That people need to know that about you, okay?
me
Because
too.
I will cut you in a moment if I
Yes.
find out that you're not who you say you are.
Right.
But to my best friend, Avrielle, I know her through and through. I'm going to be loyal to her. And so it's like kind of like planting those like seeds of doubt and kind of making you feel like, oh, it's you.
Yeah.
It's not me, it's you.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, she even offered me to pivot from pitching to brands to like PR. I'm like, no, this is not what I hired you for.
Right.
But like even that suggestion made me feel like, oh, is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with the way I show up? And then I had to remind myself, no, I'm led by the Lord. This is how I want to show up online. And so I felt a microcosm of that, but I got irritated because she was, you know, really not pitching Ave.
Yeah.
And so I think that definitely like fed into that narrative of like, I'm overlooked or I'm an underdog.
Right. And that's how you know that somebody else is overlooking you or underestimating you, when it's so subtle in a way where it's like they're planting these seeds and it starts to become your self-talk when you weren't even thinking that way before.
Girl.
Literally. It's like, oh, maybe it is the faith-based thing, or maybe it is because I only have 13,000 followers, and it's like you weren't even thinking that way before. So that's how you know you start to like absorb what this other person is saying. And that's why it's so important to have people that really believe in you and are rallying behind you.
Yeah.
Especially when you know that it's something that's sensitive, like your calling or your purpose. Like, because you don't want to be like, for example, with influencing, it's like, I don't want to be breeding that belief into people that are also following me.
That's so real.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like I want women to have full faith that whether you have 5,000 followers or 500,000, if God's called you, like he is the God that can take the small and make it big. Like that's who we serve, you know? So that was like super disappointing at the time.
Yeah. So did that, has that narrative persisted since?
Well, actually, yeah, but not in the same way, if that makes sense.
Okay, go into that.
So right now I'm working with this amazing manager. She's so great. She like pitches me all the time. She has so much belief in me. And like, even though things aren't playing out the way that I want them to, I feel so good because she has so much belief in me. And it doesn't feel like I'm dragging this person to believe in me.
Yeah.
It's more like she's dragging, I'm kidding. She's not dragging me. She's not dragging me to believe in myself, but
maybe she's leading you.
She's really professional. She does this. She actually has brand deals constantly. So like she knows what she's doing. So she is leading me in the professional sense of like, Ave, you haven't done this before. I've done this before. And like, this is the way that I do it kind of thing. So she's great that way, but she's so great when it comes to like believing in me, you know, like it's just so good. I feel like it's just a great partnership. And even though I'm still not seeing results yet, she for 1 second has not made me feel like it's me.
Yeah.
She actually thinks it's the brands.
Y'all tripping.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So she is just so great and I just love it. The narrative has persisted though, in the sense of, why aren't the brands choosing me? If that makes sense. So it's like, everything's good. They'll be reaching out. They're like, yes, girl, like, we want you. They email me. And then it's like, oh, the brand decided to go in a different direction.
Mm-hmm. Even though you know they've worked with other creators, you know the type of money they'll put out for other people.
Legit. That happened to me with one brand. This brand reached out to me, big and national brand. And I got excited because I was like,
huge,
oh, this is going to be good.
Huge brand.
Right. Then, anyway, they ended up basically saying, they reached out to me twice. The first time they said that they were going to go in a different direction. I said, okay, fine. Then the second time they were offering me really low for the follower count I had. And like, even my manager was like, okay, this is crazy. This doesn't make sense.
Follower count and views engagement. Because her views and engagement are off the charts.
Right.
Off the charts.
So they were offering me really low. So she was shocked about that because she was like, I know this brand has budget. And then, like, come to find out, they were paying other creators so much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, what is happening? Like, why? And I think I went through this, like, thing where I was just like, why are they reaching out? They're interested. And then it's like, it falls off the table, or they're just like, don't even want to pay me what I'm worth.
Mm-hmm.
And that feels so crappy because it's like, oh, I feel like I'm actually also being underestimated by brands.
Mm-hmm.
Then the kicker with this brand was, I was like, okay, maybe I just need to get my foot in the door. That's fine. I'm like, I'll take the low amount that they're giving me. Turns out when we tell them like, hey, like, we'll take it, they're just like, oh, sorry, we decided to go in a different direction.
Trash.
I was like,
that's
ugh.
so trash. That's so trash.
So annoying, you know? So
yeah,
that was just really disappointing.
Yeah.
It was really disappointing, but I think that I'm just learning that even when things like this happen, even when you feel overlooked, underestimated, all that stuff, like, it's literally not you. Like, yes, there's gonna be things maybe that you could do better. Like, you know, we can always be improving, but I honestly don't think in this case it's me. I think it's just maybe they don't feel like, oh, okay, well, they don't see that. Oh, maybe she's worked with this brand and this brand and this brand before, so maybe they feel like they're taking a chance on me, whatever the case is. But it's like, it's not me.
Okay, let's talk about that, because I think that there was a point in your career and purpose journey where you did believe it's you.
Yeah.
So how did you get from this place of it's me and internalizing it to having the confidence of knowing this is not me and I can still like fully own this lane and not feel like I'm the one who's wrong?
Yeah. I would say, honestly, having people like you in my life to like speak into my life, and
your manager too.
And my manager, you know, like knowing that she's like, okay, you know what, it's gonna come. Like, she always says, she's like, it's gonna come. Like, you have phenomenal content, you have a global reach. Like, she's just always breathing so much belief into me. So I would say having community around me that consistently like pushes a different narrative, even though the brands might be making me feel a certain way or whatever the case is. And then I would also say, like, just knowing what God's called me to and like being firm in that. Like, sometimes it's just timing, you know? Like, I was reading the scripture the other day. I'm not going to quote it right because I don't remember it. It was in Ecclesiastes, but it's like, it was saying like time and chance comes to everybody. Like, you will get your time, you will get your chance. You know what I mean? And it's like, so just plant your seeds. You essentially just don't know, you know, like, you just don't know when it's going to pop off for you and when it's going to work out for you, but just know that your time is going to come. And I think that sometimes it's really just timing. So maybe it also could be like this in this moment or this month or next month might not be my time to start working with brands. Maybe God is trying to pull something else out of me, which is what we talked about yesterday. But it really might be maybe 3 months from now, 4 months from now, and that's okay. Like, it doesn't mean it's you. I think it could just mean like it's timing as well. So I would say community and just knowing like how God's called me and designed me and being firm in that.
Okay, I love both of those. I want to speak to the community piece. Those are both so rich. When it comes to the community piece, I think that there's so many women who their community does not breathe belief or life into them. And so let's say they feel underestimated in their professional aspect, but they never get that, you know, at least my people believe in me. It's like, no, then they come home and then their husband doesn't believe in them. Their mom doesn't believe in them. So like, what types of things does your manager say to you? What types of things does your husband say to you? Do I say to you that lets you know, okay, this is someone who sees me accurately.
Yeah.
Even when I don't see myself or even when someone else doesn't see me, because I want other people to know the signs of these are the people you should surround yourself with. So what does that sound like?
That's so good. It'll just be like, Ave, like in this season, what do you believe God's called you to? You know, and then I'll affirm that. A lot of the time it's repeating what I already know about myself. Like, even though I might not believe it in that moment, it's like the community around me is constantly pulling out what's already on the inside of me. And it's good things.
Yeah.
So they'll say like, okay,
that part.
Yeah.
Because if they're pulling out the worst in you, that's not good.
It's not good.
Yeah.
So they'll just affirm like, okay, what do you believe that you're called to in this season? Okay, if you feel like this is what you're called to in this season, then, you know, just be patient. Like, trust it's going to work out. It will work out. They always affirm a good report. Or they'll always like speak like I have a future and a hope. It's never demeaning. It's never negative. Like, I can't recall specific sentences right now, but just the energy in which everybody around me speaks to me with, it's like even giving resources, you know, like, try this. Maybe we should try this. Maybe we should pivot this way, you know, like just doing things in a way and saying things where it's like, no, you have a future and we're going to get this. Like, we're going to get to this goal. It's going to happen for you. So yeah, I think just affirming the good things that are already on the inside of you, pulling out the good things that are on the inside of you, and then bringing resources to the table that are just going to be like helpful for you on that same journey. Because I feel like, you know, you don't have someone good in your corner when they're actually trying to deter you from the thing that you feel called to. And nobody...
That's so rich.
On my team, I'll say on my team because I feel like you guys are all my teammates.
Yeah.
But like...
Team Ave.
Yeah. Nobody on my team deters me, ever. Yeah. Like, no one, when I've come to them with the brands, no one says, oh, don't do it. Like, go a different direction. Like, maybe it's not for you. Like, those are the things that the enemy would say.
Absolutely.
You know, but no one's done that. And that's so beautiful. Like, I just feel it feels so nice to be able to come to people that I know and love and explain how I'm feeling vulnerably, and them just continue to encourage and affirm that same path, even if it is a little difficult.
This actually reminds me of, in my book, I have the voices chart of, there's the voice of the enemy, the voice of the flesh, and then the voice of God. And I believe that enemy-sent relationships will sound like the voice of the enemy.
Yeah.
And so the enemy seeks to steal, kill, and destroy. So if this person sounds like they're trying to steal, kill, or destroy your purpose, steal, kill, or destroy your confidence, steal, kill, or destroy your belief, that is an enemy-sent relationship.
Yeah.
And then a relationship that mirrors the voice of God will look like faith, hope, and love.
Love that.
Faith, hope, and love. Every single person around you that's Team Ave, even when the report that's right in front of us doesn't look exactly right, we're still going to speak faith, hope, and love.
Yes.
That's just a really good sign for you. if the voices closest to you sound like they're trying to steal your purpose, kill your confidence, destroy your calling, I would say find another circle.
Yeah.
Find another circle. Even if it's your family, you got to disconnect before you reconnect. You need to disconnect from them for some time, reconnect with the Lord, hear what he says about you. That way, when you come back around them, their voices will not deter you from what God has said.
Right.
But then you need to surround yourself with people whose voice mirrors God's voice, echoes God's voice. And the thing is, when you spend time with the Lord and you know what he says about you, when what people are saying are not matching up with what God is saying, you're going to be like, no. And I've been there before.
Yeah.
There's been a time in my life where I know what God is saying. But what people are saying God is saying is not lining up with what God is saying.
Right.
And I start to question myself, or I start to question God, because these are some, Bible people who are saying, thus says the Lord.
Right.
And I had to become so confident in my own relationship with the Lord that what they said did not deter me, because people can be unknowingly used by the enemy and use spiritual language to make you feel as if you're not on the right path or God's hand is not on you. And that, I want to say, is one of the most dangerous ones.
Yeah.
Because when you put God's name on it, well, then you're just like, well, dang, if God said it, So the people around you, if they love you, they won't be yes men, but they will echo faith, hope, and love.
Yes.
Okay, so Ave, you have also experienced feeling underestimated by an employer before.
Yeah.
Speak to that.
I feel like if the enemy had his way, it would have made me stop what I was doing because it was like making fun of what I was doing and how I was doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's because like the enemy knew what was on the other side of that.
Yeah.
He knew that it was going to reach people, it was going to touch people, it was going to connect with people. And, that's the way that he was trying to attack me, but I kept going and it was really annoying at the time because it would be pretty constant.
Yeah.
And I felt like super underestimated because it's like, well, why? Because I don't create content the way you create content. Like I'm not making fun of the way that you do it, like we're just different people, and I'm going to do it differently than you do. And so,
yeah.
And the reason that I had been creating content the way I had been creating content, so I had been sitting on the floor a lot. Like that was my thing. Like that was my position. And I would just be like talking to women a lot about purpose and calling. Like that's how I started out. And that was because that was literally how I felt the most grounded. Like I felt the most relaxed. Like I was like, the only way that I can do this consistently is if I do it in a way that's authentic to me. Yeah. And simplicity is such a value of mine. And if I have to be like doing all this extra stuff to be shown up on camera, like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I literally would just sit on the floor and I would just talk to women, and I loved doing that. And it was about something that I cared about, purpose and calling,
Yeah.
So for that to be attacked, I was like, ugh,
yeah,
so annoying. But anyway.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think sometimes people will mask something in a joke.
Yes.
In order to undermine its potency and significance, because we don't joke about things that are significant.
Yeah.
We joke about things that are trivial. And so when people joke about something that's meaningful to you, it's trivializing.
Yeah.
And so it's trivializing something that's so important to you.
Yeah.
But what I find so interesting about that is that doesn't happen when people underestimate you. That happens when people see you.
Okay, Amanda, talk that talk. Keep going, girl.
When someone sees you accurately, even before you see yourself accurately. When someone else sees your potential, even before you see your potential. When somebody else can see your trajectory, even before you see your trajectory.
Come on.
They will try to kill it before it even sprouts. I plant. I like gardening. And there is a moment in the very beginning of whenever I plant something that it's in the ground. And there's a time that it's in the ground that nothing is seen. And I still have to water in faith, knowing that it's there. It's kind of like being hidden.
Yeah.
There's a seed in the ground. It has all the potential in the world, but it has not been seen yet. So we water in faith. It's hidden in the ground. And then there's another moment where it sprouts. It breaks through the dirt. And when it sprouts, it's almost like an infant state.
Yeah.
It's so funny because my kids like to call them baby plants. And then when they get a little bit older, they're like, oh, are they toddlers now? And when they get bigger, they're like, they're teenagers. Or it's a grown-up plant. It's just funny. So when it's like a baby plant, it's interesting. I have some cucumbers that are outside. And the cucumber plants have climbed up a tall trellis, and the trellis is taller than I am. It's probably like 5'5". I'm 4'11". And it's such a massive plant, and it bears so many cucumbers. But I remember when it was still just like an inch high.
Yeah. And
it's just sprouting. Somebody else can see your fully grown plant, trellised up, 5'2", 5'5", 6 foot plant, even when you're just a sprout. And what they're going to try to do is kill it while it's still vulnerable. Right now, if I take a leaf off of the cucumber plant, it'll be fine. It'll survive just fine because it's strong. Its roots are established.
Right.
But if I took a leaf off of a brand new cucumber plant, it would kill it. And so sometimes people do see you, and I've seen this a lot in your life. People do see you. They see your potential. They see your trajectory. They see you accurately even before you see yourself accurately, and they try to kill it before it becomes fully grown. And so, yeah, I think that is actually the inverse. And I think that like this underdog mentality can kind of come from people actually seeing you for who you are and trying to trick you. It's kind of what the enemy does. You know what I'm saying? Like, the enemy will not attack you that hard unless you have a huge call on your life. He'll try to make you feel like you're losing when you're actually winning. He'll try to make you feel like you're an underdog when he's actually your footstool. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
And so that's why I think we need to have people around us that see us accurately but are not threatened by our potential.
1,000%. 1,000%. I love what you're saying because I'm reminded of King Saul and David.
Tell me more.
King Saul, he was the king. He literally had it all, but he was jealous of David.
Yep.
He was jealous of David because he saw the potential. He saw how much the people loved David.
Yes.
And it made him feel threatened. Mind you, he was in a higher position.
Yep.
Like, you have it all. What are you jealous of David for?
He had the power, he had the wealth, he had the status, he had the ladies, he had it all.
He had it all.
And yet he was still threatened by this little David.
Yeah, he was still threatened by little David. But it's because he saw what David would become. It was because he knew that David would one day be king, because the people loved him, and because he saw that God was with him. Literally, it's because he saw that God was with David. Sometimes people will just be jealous, even though they might be in a higher position than you, and it might not even make sense to you. Like, your logical brain, you're like, this doesn't even make sense why this person would be jealous or why this person would be threatened. They have more than me. But deep down, they know that it's the God in you, and they don't like that, and that stirs up their own demons.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened with Saul and David. And that's just what I was reminded of when you were talking about that.
Yes. I'm glad you said that, because I thought you were going to go, they see your potential, and that's all in the natural, but you went to the spiritual.
Yeah.
It's like they see their spirit in them sees the God in you.
Yes.
And it stirs up their demons. Let's be honest. There is a spiritual reality to this.
Yeah.
A very spiritual reality to this. And the enemy does not want us to see ourselves as God sees us.
Yes.
He wants us to feel like losers, like little peons, so that we'll act like it. So talk to me about how you've navigated this all spiritually and kind of learned to stand your ground, keep believing for what God said, even in the midst of times where you have underestimated yourself, others have underestimated you. talk about that spiritual element.
Yeah. So I feel like this area of my life has been the area that the enemy has attacked me the hardest, because it's the area that God has given me the most promises in. Like, he's given me promise upon promise upon promise in this one specific area of my life. And because the enemy knows what's on the other side, the spiritual warfare that I've dealt with within myself and from others has been unbelievable when it comes to my career and purpose.
Yes. Can you actually share with everyone? Because I know these things because we've been talking for years, but a lot of people don't know all of the things that God has shown you, like the things he's spoken over you, the dreams you've had. You don't have to share all of them because it's been too many to even share.
Too many, yeah.
But just share a few of them, because I think that's going to resonate with some people who know that God has promised them some things.
Yeah. So in 2013, I would say one of the first encounters I had a vision. Okay. I'm naturally a dreamer. Everyone that's close to me knows this. I'm a dreamer.
Her dreams are accurate too. God will tell on you.
Yeah. God be snitching. Okay. But yeah, so that's typically how God talks to me, is through my dreams. But this was like the first encounter I had was shortly after I got saved, and it was a vision. And I had a vision of this girl walking up to me, and she was like, I love your YouTube channel. At this time, guys, I did not have a YouTube channel, okay?
Oh, so you didn't even have one in 2013?
I didn't even have one,
wow.
Wasn't thinking about one.
Wow.
It just wasn't. But this is how God started unraveling purpose to me. So she came out to me, she's like, I love your YouTube channel. It's so good. It helps me so much. And I was like, I don't have a YouTube channel. And then she was like, well, then you better get started. It was just the most...
I forgot about that one.
Weirdest dream or vision. And I know it was...
Wow.
I know this was from the Lord because I wasn't thinking about this. Mm-hmm. And it was actually a vision. It wasn't a dream. So anyway, I had that. And then, the Lord started to kind of continue to unravel things to me. I had another instance where I had a dream, and like on the wall it said like, you will be fishers of men. Just so many instances.
What about the upper echelon one?
Oh my gosh, I just forgot that one. Can you remind me?
I don't all I remember is the words.
Oh,
okay.
This is actually crazy.
Okay.
So yeah, this is 2019. This was just before I moved to Georgia. Okay. Shortly before, like, you and I got really close, and I was in my room, and I was just thinking about all the promises God had given me over my purpose and how I hadn't seen it yet. So this was like 2019.
And by this time you had tried YouTube.
I had tried YouTube. I felt like I wasn't seeing views. Wasn't seeing anything. I was on Instagram pretty sporadically. I won't say I was the most consistent, but I just hadn't seen any fruit from what God had shared with me. And I remember I was just in my room, and I was just sitting there, just down, and I was discouraged. And I was just like, man, Lord, like when will I see all of these things you've spoken over my life? You told me that I would have influence. You told me all of these things. Like, when will I see it? And I heard the Holy Spirit say, upper echelon. And at the time, I didn't even know what that meant, to be completely honest. And when I Googled it, it meant highest rank. And I was just like, I knew in that moment, the Holy Spirit said, you don't see it yet, but trust me, you'll be in the highest rank by the time I'm done, So I just got chills talking about it.
I got chills, yeah.
And then another time I was at church, and this man I never met before came up to me. Literally, this man does not know me, guys. And he was like, you've written it all down. You've written every promise down. You've written it all down. I want you to know that God sees it, and you will see everything you've written down come to pass. He's like, you will be in the highest office. That's what he said to me. And I knew that was from the Lord,
Yes.
and just so many, man, I can't begin to tell you guys.
Yeah.
So many things that he's shown me considering this area. And it's like, thankfully, over the last year, I'm starting to see some fruit, which
quite
has been, so beautiful. But it took a long time, to start to even begin to see it. And I know this is only the beginning.
It really is.
It's only the beginning. So
yeah.
Wow. Thanks for making me do that. 'Cause that is just a good reminder for me too.
Yeah. Okay. Can you kind of just speak over the women who are listening who feel as if they've been overlooked, but they know God has spoken to them? What would you say to them?
Ground yourself in what God has told you. He is not a man that he should lie. He keeps all of his promises. He's not slack concerning his promises. These are the things that you need to rehearse over yourself. Get in the word and look at stories. Read about Joseph. Read about David. Read about all these people that waited. Because you're in good company. Seriously, I just feel like with the waiting, it's for you. It's what's best for you. It's because God is refining you. He's refining your character.
Yeah.
And if he's making you wait, it's because it's going to be very beautiful. It's going to be very big by the time he's done. I would say just continue to rehearse the word of God over yourself, marinate in what God has said. And even though there's going to be people that are underestimating you, even though you might underestimate yourself, just remind yourself constantly of what God has said. Sometimes I think that we take what God says to us and we're just like, yeah, God said this, but I've been waiting for so many years. It almost starts to feel dead almost. It doesn't feel alive like a living word, but it's living.
Wow.
It says God watches over his word
Ooh.
to perform it.
Ooh.
So it's still
Ma'am.
alive. It's still alive and well, even if he told you 10 years ago, even if he told you 7, 8 years ago, So just know that, man, when God speaks, he's not like us human beings who just say things we just be saying stuff sometimes.
He's not a man that he should lie.
He's not a man that he should lie, But when God speaks, it's because he has a future. He has a hope. He speaks with intention and it's a guarantee.
Yes.
It's literally a guarantee. And I think that sometimes we just need to remind ourselves of that and sit in that and just rehearse those words over ourselves. That's what I would say.
I'm blessed by that. God's word will not return void. And I was listening to a sermon at church this past Sunday. Tim Rivers spoke at our church, and he talked about the time where Jesus was 12 years old.
So good.
He was lost by Mary, and she eventually found him in the temple.
Yeah.
With other leaders, rabbis, teachers. And she told him that it wasn't time yet.
Yeah.
However, when Jesus performed his first miracle, it was his mother.
Yes.
And his first miracle was turning water into wine. It was his mother that suggested it. And Jesus said to her, "Don't you know it's not my time yet?"
Yes.
And even so, that was his release. His first recorded miracle was turning water into wine. And there was a time where it wasn't time yet. And then there was a time to be released. Out of all of the miracles that Jesus could have performed, why was turning water into wine the first one? Well, whenever they brought the wine to be tasted, the man said, most people serve the best wine first. And then, pretty much when everybody's drunk, they serve, the crap wine.
Right.
But you have saved the best for last.
Yeah.
You've reserved the best for last. And it's a picture of what God was doing. That he was reserving Christ.
Yes.
Not rejecting him. Jesus was on earth for 33 years. But he only performed his public ministry in the last 3.
Yeah.
I know many of us who are listening aren't even 30 yet. And you want to see all the promises of God.
Come on.
Yeah, God can do a fast work. He can do it young. But however, there are people whose purposes pop off in 40s, in their 50s.
Yeah.
And what I would say to that is that you're not being rejected. You're being reserved.
Love that.
Yeah.
So good. This is why I also love our friendship so much, because we see each other accurately. Me and Amanda are just fierce protectors over each other's identities.
Yes.
And storms come and like things, people say things, and sometimes we're human, it might get in our heads, but we always remind each other of the truth. We always remind each other of what we see, and we always fight for each other in the spiritual. And I just love that so much about our friendship, because I know that if I'm going to Amanda with something that I'm struggling with or feeling a little underestimated in, she always speaks so much belief into who I am and who God says that I am.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I love that too. It's so funny. Just the other day, I said something to Ave and I was kind of talking myself up a little bit, which doesn't happen that often, because I just don't really talk myself up that much. But I did a little bit. And she was like, I love hearing you say that about yourself. And I'm like, girl, don't get me started. And then by the end, it was like, 10 minutes straight of me just gassing myself. I'm like, I am this, I am that, And you gotta have people like that in your corner, that they are not intimidated by you seeing yourself, but they actually celebrate you seeing yourself.
Yes.
Like she's like, yes, all of that is true. I love hearing you say that about yourself.
Yes.
You don't want people around you to where it's like, how like certain guys, they think it's just better if a girl doesn't know that she's beautiful. Like, you don't know you're beautiful. Like, what happens when she does know she's beautiful?
Yeah.
Does that make her less desirable? It's like, no. You can know that you got it and still have it. And if you have the right relationships around you, they'll celebrate it.
They will celebrate it.
They will celebrate it. They will not be intimidated. So This has been a really rich conversation. I want you to share with people how your platform has gone. I want to say over like the past year or so, what God has been doing and how you've like practically learned to grow it. Because there's like a practical partnership with God of like what he said and like actually acting on it to like enact it, because it's not like God just says something and then it drops out of the sky. Like you got to get to work.
You got to get to work.
How's that been?
So okay. So in the last year, I started out with 1,700 followers.
Was that only a year ago?
That was literally a year ago. I started in June of last year. Unreal.
I was just assuming it's been 2 years. It has not been 2 years. It's been a year.
It's been a year.
Unreal.
Yeah.
I really hope that encourages somebody. Because God can move swiftly. Because you see somebody else, it took them 10 years. It could take one for you.
It could take one. God could do it in a day for you, a month day, for you.
Literally. Okay.
A lot of my growth that I've seen actually has been in like a span of a month or a span of 2 weeks, because something went viral and picked up and then I gained like a bunch of followers.
Yeah.
So you just never know how God's going to do it for sure.
Yeah.
So in the last year, I started out with 1,700 followers, and now I'm currently at 51,000 followers, which is, I can't even believe that's coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
It sounds so unreal, but
multiple reels over 1 million. Of course, there's that one that's like 28 million, like the viral queen.
Yeah, that's so crazy. And God has just taken me, like in the beginning, like I was talking a lot about purpose and calling, still something I'm so passionate about. But then I felt like he was leading me into like, me sharing more about my lifestyle, my family, just the things that really concern me, my relationships, just everything in regards to my life. And I think that's what took my platform to another level.
Can I pause you right there? Please?
Yes. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but go.
Because what gets you to one point won't be the same thing that gets you to the next point. And she had to be sensitive to the Holy Spirit to even lean into that pivot.
Yes.
Because it can grow stale if you're not hearing that fresh rhema.
Yes.
And I love that you weren't confined to a singular space because it's what got you there.
Right.
But you felt the freedom and flexibility to be all that God has called you to be. And that is what's growing you. And I love that because your platform fully reflects who you are.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that a lot of people have told Avrielle. I've told her that a million times. there is no difference between who she is in person and who she is like on camera. It fully reflects who she is. And I think it's because she has leaned into that, and she doesn't want to be a one-track person, but she has the freedom to lean into all these different facets, and God's breathing on that. So keep going. I just had to say that.
No, that's so good. I'm actually glad that you pulled that out, because I remember when the Lord was first pivoting me away from like just talking about purpose and calling, sitting on my floor and like just doing that, to doing more lifestyle. I actually struggled with that transition, because I was like, oh no, like this is what grew me. Like my audience, they're not going to be interested anymore if I go to lifestyle. Like maybe that's not niche down enough. I told myself so many things.
Can I say something too?
Yes.
Because that's the difference. That's the difference between pandering to people and being led by the Spirit.
Yes.
Because what she could have done is stayed confined to that one silo, because she was pandering to what people wanted to see rather than what God was speaking. And I'm so glad that you were led, because otherwise it really would have been a disservice to all of the people who are going to find you from the new content that you create.
Right. And you have to know how God has wired you and created you. Mm-hmm. Because one thing about me is I want to be flexible. I want to have the freedom. I want to be able to show up however I want on whatever day I want. I'm just really glad that I was able to lean into that, because it's actually allowed me to be more of who I am as well, and be able to show that to others. You know, before, when I was just sitting down and talking about purpose and calling, that was definitely a facet of who I was. But I wasn't able to fully show up. Like, maybe I'm silly. Like, so I'm a very silly person. So like, I like to make jokes, and I'm not always PC. So like, if you come on my, sometimes my reels is maybe a little bit reckless. You know what I mean?
I love it.
But the Lord knew that about me. That's how he's fashioned me. That's how he's created me. And like, for me to be able to experience another level of freedom, I had to be willing to go with him where he was leading me when it came to like even my content creation.
I love that so much. And if you look at Avrielle's page and you look at my page, our content is so different.
It is so different.
Like, I think from the outside looking in, if y'all had never met us, you'd be like, how are they best friends? But
it works.
Oh my gosh, it works amazing. Yeah. But I've learned so much from Avrielle, because I still don't fully feel that level of freedom when it comes to my own platform, you know, because I love creating content that other people can consume and be encouraged. But sometimes I'm not fully comfortable, like, getting outside of that like niche, you know, like doing other things, like showing my personality more, showing my life more. Like, that is something I actually want to grow in, because I do feel like you're going to get my personality most in conversation with me. That's why I love like podcast and things like that. Because you really see my personality. But you know, sometimes when I'm just talking to a camera, it's like, you're going to get this message and you're going to be encouraged. But you may not know who I am. You may never like connect with me. And one of the things I've learned from Avrielle is how she can fully be herself. And it like jumps off the screen of like who you are. It really translates. And I love that. And so like, even though Avrielle started many years after me in terms of like her Instagram journey in particular, like there are things I want to learn from her, you know? And I want to actually speak that prophetically over someone who's listening right now. I need to say it. There are people that you're looking up to now that one day when you step into the fullness of what God spoke, they're going to be inspired by you. So don't stop.
Yes.
Don't stop. Don't give up.
1,000%.
1,000%.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you said that.
So Avrielle, you have created a program.
Yes.
Talk about this.
So I've created a program called Create, and I'm going to be teaching women how to confidently create content that attracts a dedicated audience. And I feel like I could be the one to speak to this, because
done it.
I've done it.
She's got receipts.
I have receipts, and I've really walked through this thing, and I want to be able to help women break out of so many of the limiting beliefs that we have when it comes to content creation specifically. And I just feel so good about the fact that I believe that this course is going to be able to do that for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I have to say something, because not only does Avrielle have receipts, but she's literally been in your shoes. Like,
Literally.
there are some people, they sneeze and they go viral. There are some people, they just got a platform on accident. That's not Avrielle's testimony.
No.
I mean, now she'll sneeze and go viral. But I mean, it has been years of belief, years of breaking down these limiting beliefs, years of overcoming imposter syndrome. Like, this has not been, okay, it was easy for her, and so now she's creating some program so she can make some money. It's like, no, there have been years of learning experience that she can impart from a place of walking in your shoes. And now she's walking in the promise, at least the beginning of it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this is just the beginning. I know for some of you, you're like, oh my gosh, over 50,000 followers, that would be a dream, you know? Like, you know, but even when it comes to Avrielle, she's like, oh, just 50,000, blah, blah, blah. But it's actually a huge deal, especially in the span of time. I mean, it really feels like she's cracked the code, but she's done it by being led by the Lord. I'm like, who better to impart and teach on that than someone like you?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm excited about that. I could have used something like this.
Yeah.
And being able to help women know that this can actually potentially set somebody free to go do what they're called to do.
It absolutely will.
That excites me. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, she's definitely called to content creators who are called.
Yes.
If you're not called, it's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
Let's just get that out though. You better not blame Abe if it don't work for you, and God never said it would.
Yes. It's true.
Don't just want
creators. Oh, go ahead.
Don't just want to be an influencer or content creator because it looks cool and you want to make some money. Like, it has to be like, this is if you're called. Okay? If you're called, she can lead you.
Yes. If you're called to create, I'm your girl.
I love it. I love it. And we are going to offer in the show notes an exclusive promo code that if you sign up for Create with this promo code, or even sign up for the wait list with this promo code, you will get my Reels Masterclass. So it was over a year ago now, I recorded a Reels Masterclass because I had just gotten really good at Reels, and I'm like, okay, there are oogles of people in my DMs asking me how I did it. So I'm like, okay, let me just create this. So as a bonus, you get that entirely for free if you use the code that's in the description box. So make sure you don't miss out on that.
Yes.
Yes.
And I just love that we're partnering together in some way in this too.
Yes.
I just feel like that our kingdom friendships,
yeah,
will partner with you, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just the sweetest thing. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Avrielle, for those people who don't know you, I think a lot of people do, but for those who don't know you, where can they find you? Also, where can they sign up for Create? Share all of that.
Okay, so you can sign up for Create at avriellemuse.com/create. All the information will be there. And you can find me on Instagram, just Avrielle Muse, my YouTube channel, Avrielle Muse. I have a podcast with my husband called Mornings with My Muse.
And that's her real last name, y'all.
Yeah, Muse is actually my real last name.
Yeah.
That's why I married my husband.
I love it.
Yeah, so yeah. And yeah, those are the main platforms that you can follow me on.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
Abe, this has been a phenomenal conversation.
I know, this is really good.
I can't even wait to listen to the replay.
Me too.
Just to stir myself up.
I can't
It's gonna
wait
be
for
so
you
good.
to send it to me and show it to me. I'm
Yes.
excited. Also, maybe we need to do a part 2 so that we can go into where you felt underestimated, because I felt like it was like centered on me. So.
We can do a part 2. I'm down for a part 2, even
Yeah.
though like it's my podcast, meaning I'm supposed to interview.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm down.
Yes.
Unless
It'll
you
be
want to
good.
have me on your YouTube channel.
Oh my God. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Yes.
There it is.
There we go.
Well, you'll see me on her YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe.
Yes, exactly.
All right, guys. Catch you next time.
Bye.
All right, guys. That's the end of today's conversation. If you're part of the Confident Woman community, then do your part. leave a review, a 5-star podcast rating, and spread the word. If you haven't already, join our online community at confidentwomanco.com, where you can surround yourself with like-minded Christian women, and follow us on Instagram at confidentwomanco. As always, stay confident.